Keir Starmer, leader of the Labour Party, has just received devastating news that has plunged him into a state of panic, amid a series of mounting criticisms and repeated failures. In political strategy, Starmer appears unable to maintain control. This news not only undermines the confidence of his party allies, but has also triggered a storm of public backlash, leaving him visibly unsettled and prone to erratic decisions. Could this signal a genuine leadership crisis for the Labour Party? Let's explore this question in today's video. Karma once promised to save Britain, but reality seems to be moving in the opposite direction. His decisions, ranging from tax hikes to diplomatic failures and what is seen as betrayal of farmers, have led to a series of severe problems. Recently, Starmer's panic was fueled by news that in just 5 months, he has lost more council seats than most politicians lose in 5 years, despite confidently pledging to improve the economy and address the cost of living crisis. The reality has been a £40 billion tax increase affecting small businesses and workers alike. Public dissatisfaction and discontent within the party are both intensifying, particularly on social media. Poll numbers reveal a sharp decline in support for Starmer, leaving Labour leaders increasingly worried about his political future. This isn't just disappointment. People feel betrayed, and it's reflected in voting intentions. If an election were held tomorrow, the Labour Party would face a disastrous defeat. These poll results are merely symptoms of a larger issue. The country is grappling with serious challenges, and Starmer solutions seem as ineffective as a chocolate teapot. Labour recently announced significant tax hikes, sparking alarm across all sectors of society, from small businesses to major corporations. Key changes to national insurance rules, including raising rates from 13.8% to 15%, and lowering tax thresholds, have raised concerns about the potential negative effects on the economy. Business leaders and economists warn of rising prices, stagnant wages, and a tightening job market, while the Labour government attempts to project a positive narrative. The reality is that these changes will negatively impact businesses and consumers alike. Moreover, this tax increase is not only hurting businesses and consumers, but is also dragging the economy down, according to the Office for National Statistics. Labour productivity fell by 0.9% in Q2 2023, and this tax hike is expected to exacerbate the situation. Even more concerning is the likelihood of further tax increases in the future, causing long-term apprehension among business leaders. This move appears to be a desperate attempt by the government to plug budget gaps by squeezing businesses and workers, potentially derailing the economic recovery they claim to be fostering under Starmer's leadership. Labour's plans increasingly seem to be creating more problems than solutions. Farmers are fiercely protesting Labour's changes to inheritance tax, which threaten the survival of multi-generational family farms. The removal of tax relief measures forces the heirs of deceased farmers to sell land to pay taxes, endangering England's rural way of life and driving farms towards bankruptcy. Large-scale protests are underway, with farmers receiving widespread public support. Discontent is also growing within Labour, as Victoria Atkins, the Conservative Environment Secretary, criticised Labour's tax policies and urged rural Labour MPs to collaborate with the Conservatives to oppose them. Labour's political landscape is growing increasingly tense, as Conservative leader Kemi Badok calls for rural Labour MPs to vote on the inheritance tax hike. This has created a dilemma for Labour MPs. Should they continue to support their party or rebel, exposing internal divisions? Rumours suggest that around 60 Labour MPs may oppose the policy, but they fear openly revolting. The farmer tax disaster has exposed significant internal disagreements within Labour, with some MPs criticising the policy, while others remain silent. Meanwhile, Labour's leadership appears disconnected from the challenges faced by rural England Labour's. New national insurance policy is causing significant concern among businesses and workers, lowering the employer contribution threshold from $99,100 to £5,000 and increasing the rate from 13.8% to 15% has placed small and medium-sized businesses in a precarious position. Alex Viak of the British Chamber of Commerce warns that many businesses could face skyrocketing national insurance bills, with some seeing increases as high as sevenfold. Economists like Tom Cluffy from the Institute of Economic Affairs described the policy as an assault on business, warning that it could lead to job losses. The impact extends beyond businesses to low-income workers. Industries such as retail, hospitality, and construction are expected to be hit hardest, with a high risk of job cuts and bankruptcies. Experts predict that hundreds of thousands of jobs could be at risk. Darwin Friend from the Taxpayer Alliance has labeled the policy a tax on jobs with potentially devastating consequences for the UK economy. The Labour Party's current trajectory under Starmer's leadership is raising serious concerns, from unpopular tax policies to growing dissent within the party. Labour faces mounting challenges both internally and externally. Without significant changes in strategy, Starmer and Labour may struggle to regain public trust and navigate these turbulent times. Effectively, experts warn that hundreds of thousands of jobs could be at risk. Darwin Friend from the Taxpayers Alliance has bluntly called this a tax on jobs, with the potential to severely harm the UK economy. Labour's employment tax is not merely a poor policy. It is a direct threat to the livelihoods of millions, from factory workers to shop assistants. Its effects could be deep and long-lasting. With these tax increases, consumers will face significant price hikes as businesses shoulder higher taxes. They are likely to pass these costs on to consumers, driving prices up, particularly in supermarkets. Alexa from the British Chamber of Commerce warns that some businesses may see their national insurance bills increase up to sevenfold. Tom Cluffy suggests that this tax will lead to higher consumer prices across the board. While exact figures are yet to be seen, historical examples indicate sharp price rises, especially for labor-intensive goods like fresh produce, dairy, and meat. Beyond food, items such as cleaning products, toiletries, and household goods sold in supermarkets are also likely to become more expensive. Ray Newton-Smith, CEO of the Confederation of British Industry (CBI), cautions that these tax hikes will make everything more costly. Consumers could see dozens, even hundreds of pounds added to their monthly shopping bills. Although the government claims that over half of employers will see no change or a reduction in their national insurance bills, the overall impact on consumer prices will be significant. Some businesses will need to raise prices to offset higher costs, leading to steep supermarket price increases. Business leaders, economists, and industry experts all agree that rising costs reflect Labour's failed economic policies. Labour's promise to freeze council tax for 2 years has proven to be empty rhetoric, despite Keir Starmer's explicit campaign pledge. Council tax bills are soaring across the country. This is not a modest increase. It is one of the largest hikes in recent years. The impact is severe and unequal. A recent report shows that families in the lowest income brackets are now spending over 10% of their income on council tax, compared to just 3% for higher income households. This disproportionately affects those already struggling with rising living costs. Let's examine the figures. The average council tax bill in the UK has increased from £1,600 to £1,800. A 200 rise. This hike comes at a time when people are grappling with inflation and surging food prices for many families. An additional 200 could mean choosing between essentials like food and heating. Government actions are exacerbating the situation. Families across the country are being forced to cut spending to cope with this burden. Starr's apparent pivot towards a pro-China policy could further complicate matters. This policy reflects his stance on UK-China, U.S. relations while maintaining strong relationships with both nations is vital. Starmer's perceived leanings toward China may pose significant risks to the UK's international standing and long-standing standards. Starmer is facing mounting opposition from within the Labour Party. His approval ratings have dropped sharply in a short time, and some party members are urging him to revert to more practical strategies around 60 MPS. May disagree with Starmer's current decisions, fearing their impact on voters. Internal divisions within the party are becoming increasingly evident, with many questioning whether Starmer is still capable of leading Labour into the next general election. These criticisms extend beyond the party, spilling into the international arena and raising doubts about his leadership abilities. Without a major strategic shift, Labour could struggle to retain voter support. Recently, Starmer has altered his public stance on Twitter regarding Reform UK and Nigel Farage. This has led many to question whether he can go beyond mere criticism. Some speculate that Starmer's move reflects his acknowledgement of the growing influence of political rivals, potentially posing a significant threat to Labour, especially as opposition parties gain strength. Additionally, Elon Musk's decisions with his far-reaching influence are creating significant risk ripples in the political landscape. Starmer navigates each of Musk's public statements, not only draws attention, but also forces Starmer and his team to recalibrate strategies and plans. Musk's evolving strategies have attracted media scrutiny and are creating lasting implications for the UK's political future. His every move seems to be